and welcome to the Excuse Buster Show, where we bust through what gets in your way of feeling how you want to feel and living the life that you want to live. I'm Lizzie Williamson, and my guest today is here to help inspire and empower you to get cooking in a way that is healthy and joyful. She is a qualified chef, a cook, the author of 2 cookbooks. Oh my goodness, can't imagine writing more than 1 book. And she's a speaker, and she also runs these amazing workshops. She keeps it real when she talks about food and healthy cooking. And just a warning, spending a little bit of time in this woman's presence will give you the sorest cheeks from smiling. But this is Jane Grover. Thank you for having me over.
Oh, thanks for coming, Lizzie. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, good.
Live show in the lounge room.
I know.
Wow.
It's all very glamorous. There's a huge amount of crew behind these cameras.
Yeah. And huge amount of crap, actually.
Yeah, hair and makeup's all been done.
Yeah, well, mine was fast.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about food, the things that gets in people's way of actually using food in a healthy way, in a way that that is doable in their lives. And when it comes to cooking and things like that, some people tend to get a bit scared off, worried they're not a good cook.
Yeah.
What is it about cooking food, what you do, that lights you up, that you love so much?
Oh, well, I think I just love food, and I love cooking, and I love eating. Okay, and I think that cooking is actually a trade. Okay, like hairdressing, like building a house, like fixing your car. And I don't cut my own hair or build my own house, but we're sort of just expected to know how to cook. So I think the first issue is that there are a lot of people that really don't like cooking. Yeah. And let's acknowledge that. I mean, I really don't like cleaning my house. I really don't like it.
Some people do.
Some people do.
There's a few of them.
This is actually true. There is a gift there for cleaning your house. Come on over if you have it. But so I think first of all is like give yourself some slack that if you don't love cooking and you don't even enjoy or know how to cook well or even safely that there's not a fire.
Someone's going to get poisoned.
Or that. Then equip yourself, and I think that's why, you wrote your book because you wanted to help people with exercise. I wrote my books because I wanted to equip people to cook. So get some tools and get some cookbooks, along the lines of the food you love. And, I suppose upskill. That's the first thing. I think secondly, we've just ruined the whole cooking, eating, enjoying around a table experience, haven't we? We're so worried about what it's going to do, how many kilos we're going to put on, I need to be eating only bread on Tuesdays upside down, it's just getting a bit crazy. And we've actually forgotten that food was supposed to be enjoyed. I mean, go to Europe. They're like...
Which you haven't just been to.
Italy, in Italy, I mean, it's a feast. Every meal,
okay.
It's a feast. It's enjoyed. And I think that's the other thing is that why would you want to cook if you don't really want to eat? So why are we doing this? So I think it's just getting back to knowing that food is supposed to be enjoyed.
Yeah. Cooking
is not supposed to be complicated. So it's thinking about what's in season. It already tastes really great if it's in season. Just simple recipes. You don't have to do a lot to food in season. And then giving yourself a bit of time. You just need to be a little bit realistic about the fact that it does take time to prepare a meal.
Yeah.
And you should also allow time to eat it.
Yes.
Oh, God. The steering wheel as a table is just not a good thing. And I was actually just out there doing some gardening, and I was thinking about how often when we're doing things, we're mentally in a rush. It's like, I've got to get this done because I've got to do the next thing. And I think we just need to slow down and sort of say, well, when I'm going to cook, I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm going to look forward to sitting down and eating it, and I'm going to eat it, mindfully, sort of thinking to myself, well, this is refueling, recharging, nourishing my body, and enjoying it with the people that you're eating with, or if you're eating alone, same, you can communing with the food.
That's right, yeah. I love that we're kind of peeling back the onion a bit here, because there's a few things here. There's really about wanting to actually eat, getting that sort of love of eating back rather than looking at food as the enemy. It's the slowing down to experience the cooking and then the slowing down experiencing the food.
I think that we've had all these books come out, you know, that you can do it in 15 minutes, and you know, you can like do it in 5 ingredients, and you can do, and it's what that's saying is like, how much faster can we make it, right? But you know, when you go to the cinema, you know, they don't speed up the movie for you. You know, you go to the cinema to sit, you switch off, you're like, here I am, I'm in this seat for 2 hours and I'm just going to enjoy it, and you're engaged, and but then when it comes to actually fueling your body, it's like, I just need to do it as quickly as possible. I don't even really care what it tastes like, or, you know, it's just a thing I have to do. Whereas for me, it's my favourite thing to do. You know, I mean, I love to eat. I mean, it's important to then exercise and do other things to keep your body well. But yeah, it's like, to just sit down and go, you know, and particularly, here's a little tip, is if you're going to eat something that you really don't think you should be eating, okay, just enjoy it. Nothing worse than going through the driveway and getting those salty, greasy chips, and then actually feeling guilty every mouthful. It's like just saying, okay, well, today I'm having something that maybe is not in the top 10 of nourishing foods for my body, but I'm not eating it every morning for breakfast, I'm not eating it every night for dinner, I'm just having a splurge, I'm having a hormonal moment, I'm having, you know, a weak moment, or I'm just having a moment where I'm going to give myself permission. And not like, you know, it's like, you know, there's all these like sugar-free, carb-free. I'm saying, let's go guilt-free. Let's just let ourselves off the hook and enjoy the food we're eating. A big change of mindset, I'm sure, for a lot of people. This idea of cooking is something that as an enjoyable thing, something to look forward to, you know, because a lot of us just like, oh, what's for dinner? It's a chore. And I really love this idea of switching that and going, okay, how do we turn this into something that we look forward to, that we enjoy in our real life, which there's a lot going on, we're busy. How do you think we begin to do that? Well, look, I think it's the same with all the things that you have to do in life that maybe are not your favourite thing to do. So, like, I do love to exercise, but my idea of great exercise is to go for an incredible walk along the coast and see something visually while I'm exercising, okay? But I do train with a personal trainer on a Monday morning once a week, and I do a Pilates class on a Thursday morning once a week. And when I do those things, I honestly don't really want to go when I'm getting ready to go, but I know that it's going to do me good, right? And so I'm acknowledging that not everyone is going to love cooking. So that's why I'm saying a lot of the time we don't want to do something we're not good at as well. So if you're not good at it, or you don't think you're good at it, or people have told you you're really not good at it, then why do you want to keep going back, you know? Like if my personal trainer, if I went there and she said, listen, you're a loser, you know, you're not working hard, you're not doing well, but she's encouraging me, right? So the reason that people have written recipes, you know, they're there online, they're in books, some of them work, some of them don't, so it's good to find someone whose recipes have been tested and work well, but that they're there so that you can actually, they've done the work for you, right? Like when I look through your book, you've done the work for me, okay? I'm seeing what I can do with a wine bottle that I never thought I could do with a wine bottle. You know, what I can do, you know, push-ups on the kitchen bench, you know, in between whatever I'm doing. It's like you've given me tools. And I think people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to, I've got enough books, or if you've never opened them. I mean, the greatest joy is for someone to buy one of my books, but I tell you what, like, next level if they open it. Next level if you actually acknowledge that I spent 2 years trying to equip you, and maybe you could just try something. And, you know, my idea is it's not about whose book it is, it's about you equipping yourself. Say, okay, I cooked this soup and my whole family loved it, and I'll cook it again. You know, maybe once a week, and I'm building my repertoire, just like you do with exercise, just like you do with all the different things you might be skilled at or trying to get skilled at, the more you do it, the better you get, you know. And look, you know, start simple. Don't start with, you know, some thing where you need you know, all this equipment that you don't have. Like, scramble some eggs. Great protein, happens in like about 2 minutes, it's done, you know. So yeah, I think just have a go and you'll find that you'll build confidence. I think it's a lack of confidence a lot of the time that people just go, oh, I can't. But it's like, I believe anyone can cook, just like anyone can exercise. You know, I believe it's possible for anyone, but we do have to actually engage and try. You know, I've taught my children to cook. I mean, you know, come on, it's possible. They'll love me for saying that.
Did they always eat what you cooked? In terms of, you just cook the one meal for the family? I hear a lot of mums talk about, well, I want to cook these great things, but then my kids won't eat it, and I've got 2 meals.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And look, the honest answer to that question is that it depends how old they are. You know, for me, like, I'm now 50 years old. When I was 40 years old, we sort of made some changes to our diet, and we started to eat a more whole food focused diet, getting more fibre in our diet. I'm not a big fan of the word healthy. Healthy to me is, it just makes you feel like it's not going to be enjoyable.
You kind of get that sort of rough cardboard taste in your mouth.
Like, oh, excellent, we're having lentil pie with broccoli sauce. Yeehaw.
Some more kale.
Oh my God. Anyway, no, let's not start on the kale. But so I think it does depend a lot about the age of your children. I've always said to mums with little kids is, the biggest challenge for little children is actually to sit at the table for a long period of time. It's not actually to actually eat. It's the fact that you're, oops, that's the phone. Forgot to put the phone on silent.
You keep talking, I'll put it on silent for you. Where is she?
Yeah, so the children actually, they find it quite difficult to sit and concentrate, and then on top of it, they've got a parent saying to them, eat it, eat it, eat it, you're not getting down to it, eat it. Whereas I used to say, well, okay, we're going to have like a little bit of potato and a you know, a nice lean sausage, or we're going to have a little bit of, you know, rice with some steamed chicken, but I would give them their veggies at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'd give them some little carrot sticks or some cherry tomatoes or some raw beans. Children don't really like cooked vegetables.
No.
And unfortunately, people, you're cooking them for too long. So what
I still don't really like cooked vegetables.
So I'm here and I'm like, okay, I'm being made to sit still. My mother is serving me up grey beans that have forgotten that they used to snap. And here she is basically punishing me to stay here and eat this. So I'm saying, well, if they're watching a little bit of television in the afternoon, or if they're sitting doing a bit of drawing or something, whatever your kids do. Mine are adults now, so I'm not sure what they're doing now. Hopefully they're just not always on a screen. But whatever they're doing, they can nibble, they can graze. And I would say up until about the age of 8, think grazing. It will save you so much stress. You'll get so much more nutrition into them, and the family table will become a happy thing instead of a disaster. As they sort of go into their teenage years, it's definitely a thing of, I have made allowances as they've got older, in the sense of, okay, I have one child who does not like tomato and onion, and I love tomato and onion, so I cook with it a lot. And I had to sort of come to a point where it was like, okay, when I make a spaghetti bolognese, say, he would have spaghetti, but he might have something else with his spaghetti, whether it be a tin of tuna through it, whether it be some olives, feta cheese, a little bit of oil with some fresh herb. So you don't have to make a completely different dinner, but you can make little allowances. And the other thing is that I think was a generation of my mother's, was you must eat everything on your plate. And I think this is not a good thing, because we're not teaching them to listen to their body. So it's trying to get this balance, that awful word, between them not eating anything and being quite like objective and you know, objecting and disruptive and disobedient, as opposed to you not serving them, trying to make them eat too much at one time. So just listening to letting them listen to their body, and and just being persistent. Sometimes you just have to be persistent with things. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you turned 40,
yes.
you said you had a shift in the
long ago
Whole
now.
Foods thing. What happened? What's that story?
Okay, well, I actually trained as a chef in fine dining in French restaurants, and so my first 10 years of my cooking training was although we did use seasonal and fresh produce, there was a lot of sugar, white flour, butter, cream, ice cream, chocolates, pastries. That was the style, okay? And I love all those things, and I still do eat all those things, in moderation. But I actually read a couple of books when I turned 40. I just had this thing of, for a lot of people it's like turning 50, but for me it was sort of turning 40. I felt like I could be halfway. And I'd had a few people around me who had died, young from disease and stuff like that. And so I just was sort of like, I've actually had a great 40. I want to have a second great 40. And so I suppose I would call it a bit of a light bulb moment as I was reading some stuff. There's a great book by a lady called Cindy O'Meara, who is an Australian nutritionist, and it's called Changing Habits, Changing Lives. And it was just a tweaking. I mean, it was radical in a way, but it was one little thing at a time. So it might have been things like, right, no more white sliced bread in the house.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of goodness in it. There's more working against you than for you. So it was saying, well, we'll have other grains. So we might have rye, we might have a sourdough that contains maybe a mix of rye or spelt. So it was more starting to eat artisan breads, or if we were eating processed bread, it was the best possible, option.
Yeah.
Which might have been like a whole meal with grain. Things like rice, we sort of started to eat more brown rice than white rice. We started to eat some wholemeal pasta. We started to cut back on anything processed. So, as a mum, and especially in those early years of mothering, I have 3 children. At one point I had 3 children under 5. I was trained as a chef, and I was still buying frozen meat pies. And then label reading became a little bit of like, well, what's actually in these, And looking and saying, okay, 20% meat. I'm serving up these pies that are convenient, but they've got 20% meat in them. So it would have been better for me to actually go to a pie shop and spend twice the money and get something with chunks of meat in it. But it really wasn't that hard to say, okay, well, we need to find some different convenience foods. So for me, it was like things like I make a pasta sauce, which I bottle and jar in the pantry. I know everyone's not going to do that, but it was having those sort of options where I could cook a packet of wholemeal pasta, toss this homemade tomato sauce through it, and maybe a few veggies or some chorizo or something like that, and it was an easy meal. Yeah. And it actually took less time than waiting for those frozen pies to warm up anyway, So that was really a bit of a change for me. And we just, I used to drink a can of Coke a day because it was my upper, really. It was a habit. It was just like, I've never drunk coffee, but I was drinking a can of Coke every day. And it was just like, okay, no, so it's actually, I turned 50 this year. I actually haven't had a can of Coke for 10 years. Oh, wow. Now, on the other hand, with some sort of fast food, I have this thing where I might have it once a year. When I have it, I really enjoy it. Yeah. I go, okay, I'm having my burger and my chips and I'm just going to, I usually go somewhere that's really scenic. And I sit there and I just, because obviously I can't stay near the takeaway outlet or someone would see me and then, my whole
paparazzi would
just
all over
be
you.
all
Cover
over
the new idea.
Be all over the Mazda. And that's actually a funny thing when I run into people in the supermarket and they get trolley guilt. It's like I ran into one friend actually a few years ago, and I happened to be in the health food section because it's a rare moment in a supermarket. And I happened to be in the health food section buying something. And she came in with a trolley and she goes, well, at least, look, here you are, you're even in the health food section. Oh, you're so walking the walk. And I'm like, but you know, in the end, she's like, just don't look in my trolley.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's like I'm a food priest.
That's what people think about me. I say I'm not the exercise police, I promise.
So, you know, and it's just, you know, you think, well, there's just this undercurrent of guilt going on all the time about what we're eating. But I think if you sort of, what I try to do is I try to think, okay, I'm not perfect. So I go the sort of 80-20 thing. So 80% of the time, I'm really focusing on, is what I'm about to put in my mouth nourishing my body? You know, if some people have intolerances or allergies or medical requirements, then obviously they have to think about those things as well. But I, at this point, don't. And so I'm like, okay, like today, I had for lunch today, 7 cooked prawns, because I went to the seafood shop to get some fish, and because my husband doesn't catch much in winter, which is really slack. And I thought, what am I going to have for lunch? And I thought, I'm just going to buy myself a handful of prawns. Yeah. I came home and I had some prawns with lemon and some lettuce and some cherry tomatoes, right? And it was just snacking food. It wasn't, but I was thinking, well, that's a really great source of protein, some great antioxidants from the, you know, and like other days I might have, you know, a toasted sandwich. It's not like I'm always, you know, excluding bread from my lunch, but it's just thinking outside the box. Like it probably cost me $10. You know, well, I got the lettuce out of my garden, and I don't know, the prawns are probably about $7 or $8, you know, maybe less. But, you know, so it's like, it's just thinking, it doesn't have to be, that took me like all of 3 minutes to put on the plate. And I just peeled the prawns, which slowed me down. Yeah, it takes a while. Sat in the sun. That's good. Yeah, sat in the sun. And, you know, sometimes I have to say to myself, Jane, you're not getting up. Just stop it. Yeah. Just sit and enjoy this moment. It's all of 10 minutes, you know. So, yeah, I think that there's just, if you've got habits in your life and you want them to change, then equip yourself with some recipes, some knowledge on what would be better, and then just take them on one at a time. Yeah. Because when you do something really radical, and what I call is not sadistic but fadistic, right? When you just go the fad, I say to people, eventually you will be in the laundry eating bags of that thing on your own. And people say, why do you say the laundry? And I say, well, who else is going to go in the laundry? Really? I mean, you're not going to find your children in the laundry, are you? They're probably pretty rare. Your husband will be there, so it's a good place to hide. Yeah, exactly. If you want to binge. Yeah. So, but I think balance and just being realistic about what's achievable. If you cut something, I'll put that in not silly language. If you cut something out of your diet, out of guilt or out of extreme, eventually you just won't be able to sustain it. It's sort of like saying, oh look, I've never exercised in my life, so I'm going to exercise for an hour every morning and an hour every night. How long do you reckon that's going to last? Yeah, not long. 3 days? Yeah, if you're if you're a legend. Yeah. It's the same. It's like as soon as you say, right, that's it, I'm not eating chocolate anymore. Suddenly there's 7 ads on TV for chocolate. Yeah. Your husband walks in with chocolate. You know, suddenly if someone calls you to ask you what your favourite chocolate is, like, oh my gosh. So it's like don't have to be so extreme. Just little by little. So we changed the bread. We added more fibre. Yeah. Okay. Fibre is a huge thing because the actual processing of food is pretty much get as much fibre out of the food as we can. Okay. And why? Because then you can eat it faster. Right? So if you try and eat lettuce fast, you can't. You have to chew it. Yeah. And so the things that contain a lot of fibre, which are actually usually very good for your body, they take a lot of chewing, like a raw carrot. Yeah. You know, you can't eat it, and it would be dangerous to eat a raw carrot in a hurry. It would be dangerous to talk while you're eating a raw carrot, or to drive while you're eating a raw carrot. So, but that's not even a consideration. We've got like some carrot chew bar that's got carrot flavouring in it, that's in a package that, well, what's wrong with just, you know, eating a raw carrot? Yeah. So, I know that doesn't sound that exciting, people, wow, great, raw carrots. But it's just,
I love raw carrots.
it's just things like that.
So the fibre, so it's we have to chew it and slow it down. And why else is it important for
Well,
us?
the fibre is what they would describe as nature's broom. So you know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Sweep it out.
Yeah.
So a lot of I'm not a doctor, and I'm not qualified in the sense of medical things, but at the same time, it's just a bit of common sense that if you're going to have a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice, why don't you just eat the orange? Because if you just have the fresh juice, then you're getting all the sugars and none of the fibre. And they were supposed to go together, so that you would get the sugar, you would get the nutrition, you would get the fibre, and it would all work together in your body. So I think we're separating too many things out. We take the fat out of the milk, we take the juice out of the fruit, we take, we're not allowed to eat this, we're not allowed to eat that. And we end up sort of, with too much of stuff in our body that we think is doing us good.
Yeah.
The fibre is what's going to get you to actually flush your body out. And if you're eating white bread, white rice, you're not eating a lot of vegetables. I know potatoes are vegetable, but if you're not eating sort of leafy greens and the bright coloured vegetables like capsicums and carrots, and if you're not eating those things, then you're not getting that source of fibre that's going to come through and get rid of stuff that might be stuck there. And when stuff gets stuck there, that's when disease comes, because it's collecting there, and then there's too many bad things happening over good things, and the white blood cells and all that, and it's suddenly you're looking at disease and stronghold. So it's just, if you're not going to the toilet every day, you need to be eating more fibre.
Yes, get those carrot
Number
sticks
twos,
out.
number twos, people, number twos. Sorry, I know this is like a family show, but
It's really good, because sometimes we're saying you got to eat your vegetables, and it's just so nice to hear someone say it in a way. You go, oh, okay, right, yeah, that's why I have to do it. That's why it's going to be great to do.
It's like, what are antioxidants, right? Antioxidants are actually, they come out of fruit and vegetables and nuts and fish and these protein and vitamin and mineral rich foods. And I say to people, it's like playing, the boys will get this. It's like playing a video game. The antioxidants are the ones with the gun, right?
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of things in your body called free radicals that will break off from different foods. And the antioxidants come in and they basically just wipe them out. So you're saying, oh, I don't really like, look, my husband loves salad, okay? If you told me I had a week to live, I probably wouldn't eat salad. I'd probably go, great, no more salad. but the reality is that I know that that's good for me.
Yeah.
So I'll find ways to eat salad. I'll have a salad sandwich, or I'll have a burger with more salad in it than anything else, or I'm not. I like a bit of halloumi cheese, or a bit of feta cheese, or some olives, or something salty in my salad. If I just sit down with a whole bowl of salad, it's like, I'm like, it's like walking lunges. It's just like, please, people, we don't want to do it. So it's like, okay, acknowledge that you're not going to love everything that's good for you, but acknowledge that you want to actually live well. And so there's principles that apply. Let the antioxidants go down there and shoot the crap out of the bad stuff.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is so good. World of wisdom. You are.
Yeah. Thanks, it's the grey hair. It's sort of like the older you get, the less you know, I think, really. But I think you clarify down what's important. Yeah.
I feel like I could just sit here on the couch with you all day, but I'm sure you've got a garden to
We could
tend,
eat salad.
We could sit and eat our lettuce leaves and say, this is how you have to eat, but instead you've really shared with us just in our real life, in such a real way, some really great tips and tools and inspiration on eating. So someone coming in on the background, it's live, anything can happen. But that is probably a good cue to wrap.
Yeah. So I'll just finish by saying,
yes, Give us your closing words.
There are a whole heap of recipes on my website, which is janegrover.net.
Yes, that link is
So
up.
you don't have to buy my book. If you're poor and you want to spend your money on coffee instead, that's okay. But go on, there's like about 35, 40 free recipes on there, and people can actually start cooking with simple, healthy, but taste good recipes for you.
Yeah. But let's also just take one to just have a look at these beautiful books. What's one of your faves?
Look, I'm a big breakfast girl, so the cook breakfast chapters are great. The actually in your book there, the sweet corn and zucchini fritters in the brekkie chapter have just been. I think they're the one after that.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been amazing. So yeah.
Check beautiful. There's two very, very beautiful
2-minute
books.
moves.
Yeah. And these are on your website as well, of course. Because yes, it's nice to go to a website to look at recipes, but there is kind of
buy the book, people.
Nothing
Buy
like
the book.
having that book sitting up there. I often will put one up. I think right, and it inspires me to actually to make it.
Awesome.
No, thank you so much, Miss Grover.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an absolute legend.
Let's go eat some hot chips.
Yes. And thank you for watching. We'd love to continue the conversation with you in the comments. What has resonated with you from this episode? What wisdom words has Jane said? You're like, right, I'm going to do that. Pop that in the comments because it helps inspire other people as well. We'll continue the conversation there. Be sure to like and share this episode if you're watching it on Facebook so it actually gets around to all your friends and they can see this amazing woman. And if you want this episode or any future episodes of the Excuse Buster Show into your inbox, then head to 2minutemoves.com/live TV. The link's up there, and pop in your email and you'll get it sent to you every single week, so you get to bust through your excuses and just feel so good, because that's what we want, isn't it? Yeah, get the most out of life.
Life's to be lived, hey?
Life's to be lived, baby. All right, on that note, we'll see you soon. Bye.